So as people are coming in, I just want to quickly say hello. I am Lisa Apolinski. I am a content creator, strategist, and coach. I run an agency called Three Dog Right. We help agencies and small businesses use content, including short form video, which I need to lean into more. So I'm excited about this talk as part of your business development strategy and tools so that you attract more of those right fit clients that you are so interested in looking for. Couple of really quick housekeeping items. First and foremost, obviously, we are recording this. It allows you to go back and listen to the recording. I have done that in the past. It gives you the opportunity to share it with colleagues who are unable to attend. And because we're going to be adding in AI, we might look at this in a year and go, oh my God, it was so cute that we thought that, because things are changing every single day.
They are.
It's almost, neck breaking speed. So that's first and foremost. I will be monitoring the chat so that Justin can share his amazing expertise. And I'm, again, so excited about this presentation. So if you have questions, this is your time to ask. You got the person with the area of genius right in front of you. Use it. And then lastly, I want to quickly let you know about next month's Q&A webinar. It is on creating community through AI. Now, you might think that seems weird, but one of the reasons why we leverage content is to create relationships and create community. Think of all the little yous that can go out into the universe and help to share your messaging. You cannot be everywhere at once, and creating community is one of the fastest ways to get there. I am so excited about this talk as well. It's going to be our first for 2024, and I have 2 guest speakers that are going to talk, and I'm just going to sit and just bask in their genius. Mary Catherine Johnson, who is an international author. She co-authored one of the chapters in the greatest marketing book ever with Mark Schaefer. She is also a conversational AI strategist. And the other individual that we have on that I'm also super excited about is Arvel Craig. He is an AI evangelist. He is a keynote speaker. He speaks all over the world. He's one of the foremost leaders in thought around conversational AI and how to use it for strategy. I have both of them on this call, which is on the webinar, which is going to be fantastic. This is going to be on Thursday, January 18th at 10 a.m. Pacific. And I'm going to go ahead and put the link in the chat box so that you can register first. How about that? All right. Well, without further ado, Justin, I would love for you to introduce yourself and let's get this conversation started.
All right. Thank you, Lisa. Welcome, everybody. My name's Justin, and I am a father of 4, and that's fresh in my mind because I just had a baby my wife's first last month. So if you hear any crying in the background, I do apologize. We're still navigating what that looks like. I've never had a baby being a business owner. I always had babies when I was working for others. So it's a new experience, and it's a good experience. I'm thankful for it. All right, so I'm going to share my screen, and let me get started here. All right. So today we're going to talk about how you can create authority power with short form video. And when we talk about authority power, we really just talk about awareness and trust. Authority is awareness and trust is one way to look at it. And that's what I've been building for myself for the last few months using short form video. And that's what I'm going to teach you to do today. I'm going to teach you the value of video. I'm going to teach you about how I do it. I'm going to also talk about some of the AI tools that we use to create short form video, and some that we don't use, but that are on the horizon. Lisa and I remember when we first talked about this a couple months ago, and she's like, we were just talking, and I was showing her a cool new tool I was using at the time, or investigating. It was pretty neat. So I'll show you some of those tools and see if it's relevant for you and your business. And so without further ado, let's get started. Although I say one note, if you guys have questions, drop them in the chat. I would love for you to ask questions. Like, one of the worst things you can do is do this talk and then and you have questions, but you don't ask them. So if there's something I'm not hitting on, if you're curious about something, you're wondering, if I skip over something basic, sometimes, when you know something, you kind of forget to talk about some things. And so feel free to put them in the chat, and Lisa will interrupt me and we'll dive into that, because that's what this is. Lisa set this up as a kind of a Q&A. I do have a presentation. If we want to go through that quickly, I'll do that. And I'll just assume that's good. But if you have questions, this is primarily to give you answers for how you can use short form video. But sometimes we don't know the questions we need to ask. So without further ado, let's dive into what I do. So I've got 3 images to describe who I am. I grew up first 12 years of my life in France. That's the Eiffel Tower picture. The middle picture is my picture of my family, although this is taken over Easter. So you can see there's someone missing. That's my little baby girl. We'll have to. I don't think we have a new family photo, but I'll have to update that. And I do love to play D&D. So whenever somebody talks about a DM, I'm always wondering, do they mean direct message like on LinkedIn, or do they mean Dungeon Master? I don't know. So I have to use the context to figure that out. But I do love a good game of Dungeons and Dragons. All right, those are a few things about me. And without further ado, let's get into why you're here, why I'm talking to you about short form video. I create short form video for my business every week. Every week I'm posting to multiple platforms: LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram Reels, Facebook, Alignable, a bunch of platforms, even threads. And I've learned a lot about what it takes to do this well and the results you can expect to get. And we're going to talk about that. So lean on me as a resource for this. I do not want to pretend to be the foremost expert in this field. There are people a few steps ahead of me in that regard that I look up to and I learn from. But what I can do today is give you my knowledge as it is, and hopefully that'll give you some value today. So my goal today for you is you step away, you walk away with at least one gold nugget that you can use practically in your business. Okay, so what is Dialogue? Dialogue Video Marketing is an agency. We help people create short form video that helps them build their authority online. And although the way they do that is they just show up to a conversation once a month. We take care of all of the planning, we take care of the shooting, and we take care of the editing, and we take care of the posting. And you might think, well, how do you do that affordably? We do it affordably. It's not thousands of dollars every month. It's $1,200. It starts at $1,200 a month. And the way we do that is through remote video stuff, just like this platform. Riverside is the platform we use for that. So that's what Dialogue does. We do that for our clients, and we do it for ourselves. All right, and this is our main philosophy, and this is the thing I really want to nail home for you today, is that if you're here, you're watching, you're listening, you have good things to say. You do. Your imposter syndrome might say, no, you don't. You do. You do have good things to say. You have knowledge, you have value, you have inspiration, you have change, life change, potentially even. How many times have we ever talked with a friend or watched a little video or read a little quote, and it just kind of set the course of our life just a little bit in a different direction that was a better direction? That's what you can do with short form video. So that's what we talk about. That's what I talk about with Dialogue. You have good things to say. People need to hear it. The biggest disgrace you can do to the world is not share your story and share the stuff that's valuable in your head and share it with others. How many people die, go to their graves, and they never share the impact of their life with more people? There's so much good that can happen when we share our stories. So that's what gets me out of bed every morning. All right. So in the chat, I want you guys, this is a big part of what I want to do is address your question. So in the chat, if you could please put your biggest challenge with getting new clients in the chat. And it doesn't have to do with video. Just tell me, what's your biggest challenge with getting new clients? Is it, we just have referrals? I don't know where to get started. Is it, I don't know how to stay in touch with them. We have a long sales cycle. Is it, we're treated as a commodity? People don't see our value when they talk to us. We're competing on price with all these other people. Let me know. What is your biggest challenge with getting new clients? Give that a minute here.
And Mac, we'll get to your question in just a minute. And I love that question about and I don't like using the word low ticket. It's maybe lower price point entry, but the value is still there. And that's one of the things I put in mind, that it's showing, absolutely, and it's showing value versus the price, which ties into your question. Are there traps you should avoid? Lori, I love yours, reaching new people and aligned people, your right fit clients. Absolutely. Love that. Charles, really good one. Starting off without current clients or case studies to support what you are selling. Yeah. How do you show proof in the pudding if you don't have the pudding?
Yeah, it's a great question. I had that
Really
exact question a while back, and I'm going to show you. We'll dive into that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom through some of these pieces of content. They will answer some of these questions, and others. I know for a fact there are some things that I want to go deeper. I want to go deeper in on these questions. So as we go through these slides, there will be some information that will answer these questions partially. If I don't fully get to it, though, I do want to come back to these at the end. So, and we'll talk, Mac. Yes, we'll talk about what works best for me on LinkedIn. Actually, we're going to dive right into that. You'll get my whole strategy, and you can copy it and use it for your own benefit. All right. So if there are any other questions, please put them in the chat as we go along. So the problem we often see is inconsistent leads. Is this right for me? Whether it's video marketing or SEO or PPC or social ads or sponsorships, is this the right type of marketing to do? There's so many options, right? We just get analysis paralysis and we end up not doing anything, not sure which option to take in the marketing world, what strategy to take. Lack of confidence with our process, lack of confidence with our fulfillment or our team, or even potentially lack of confidence in ourselves when we want to do some promotion. That imposter syndrome shows up. Imposter syndrome is such a huge monster. It goes everywhere. It shows up everywhere. Maybe we're stuck working in the business, not on the business. And of course, maybe there's no time to do lead generation and figuring out how to do that. And then we have, of course, these problems here we talked about, showing value versus price. So how do we really make the case for this is actually going to help you, and the price is just your investment for how we're going to get through to the end result for you. So we'll talk about that today. So we're going to talk about why video. Here we're specifically looking at lead generation through the lens of short form video, not long form video. And just a little quick disclaimer: short form is there's no real definition for it. The way I like to talk about it, it's not a definition, but it's the way I kind of like to talk about it, is 60 seconds or so. It can be 20 seconds. Heck, it can be 6 seconds, or it can be 90 seconds. The point is that it's short. You're not watching the video and thinking, oh, I'm watching this for a while. It is short. It's a short video. So we're thinking TikTok, we're thinking YouTube Shorts, which technically YouTube Shorts are 60 seconds or less. Instagram Reels, 60 seconds or less. So these are videos that you could swipe. You're swiping through them typically. But I mean, you can get short form video on platforms that don't have that swipe ability, like LinkedIn. If you're ever on LinkedIn, you see a short video, that's a short form video, even though LinkedIn doesn't have that little swipe feature that TikTok and YouTube Shorts do. So short form video is short videos. That's it. Long form video is anything that's longer, like webinars. This is a type of video. Once it's recorded, it will become a long form video. Or a YouTube video that's 5-10 minutes long, or even longer. That's a long form video. So we're talking about short form video. And so why video in general? All right, why video in general? Well, here are 3 key reasons. Number 1, memorability. You're going to get way more information retention from somebody if they watch a video versus if they read it, or even if they listen to it. Podcasts are great, but video is the content king. Everyone in marketing knows this. This is why almost 90+% of marketing teams every year, the last few years, I look at studies, all these marketing teams, they're asked the question, what are you going to invest in more next year? Video, short form video, video, short form video, video, short form video, because they know video is king. It's not just the words, it's not just the sound, it's also how you are, it's the graphics, it's the visuals, all tied together. We learn best and we retain most information from video. So in this case, 95% retention versus 10% retention. I think it was for a blog post or for a written version of it. I don't know what the audio version is, but it's very low retention. 10% retention on a blog post is really sad, right? You put all that work into a blog and you spend hours writing it and you're just sweating, just bullets over this. Is this the right word? Is this the right grammar? Is this engaging enough? And then 10% retention. That means if 10 people read it, one person might remember the whole thing. You put it in that context versus 95% retention. It's huge, right? It's almost 100%. That's crazy huge. Memorability is the first reason why we talk about video being content king. Number one. Number two, you get more virality. You get 12 times more shares than text and images combined. So think about LinkedIn. You got an image post, you got a text post, and then you got a video post. This study shows that video is 12 times likely to be shared combined compared to the other two combined. Very powerful for getting your image out there, for getting that reach that we talked about. How do you get reach? Well, video. It's more viral. Whether it's actually viral in the truest sense of viral, or you could say more shareable, more referable, maybe is a more appropriate word. People are more likely to share. I do this all the time with my buddy with videos. I'll watch a YouTube video and my best friend, I'll just send them the link right away. I don't do that with blog posts. I don't do that with any other form of medium because it just doesn't have that emotional connection. And we'll talk about that in a little bit, how emotional connection is the number one goal of any marketing. And that's why video is so important. So that's probably why video is so shareable. It's got that strong emotional connection, whether it's humorous or, wow, that's eye-opening, or even beauty, right? We've seen some videos, I don't know about you, but I love the BBC documentaries and the beauty of the world that they reveal. And it's just like, wow, look at that bird. Wow, look at that vista. Cool things like that. Video has the power to bring the world into our homes, into our little itty bitty phones or computers or TVs. So video is more shareable, number two. And number three, this is one that might be useful for you if you are in the B2B space, you're trying to reach decision makers. 59% of decision makers, we're talking about executives, are more likely to choose video when they're given when they're given two mediums, let's say a written version and a video, they're going to go with the video almost 2 out of 3 times over the other format. So video is very powerful for retention, for getting reach and sharing, getting that virality, getting your network to share with the world, and then also reaching decision makers with impactful content. All right. That's why we do video. And then 2020, if you remember, we had COVID. It started. Almost 100% of consumers increased their online video consumption. So it was already going up, and then 2020 just ramped it up at a very high rate. So we all want more videos, is what we're seeing. Short form is not going away. It's here to stay forever. It's not a medium that's going to have its little, it's going to continue to go up because people love videos. It's not a medium that's going away. I think that's one of the number one assumptions I deal with. A lot of people think it's like almost as if short form video is like a social media platform that has its heyday and then goes away. Short form video having its heyday across multiple platforms, and it's only going to continue to go up. So it's not a trend that's going to come and go. It's going to stay. Podcasts, for example, have been around for 15 plus years. I was one of the OG, that's a young person term, original people to listen to podcasts back in the day. I used to listen to, Celtic music podcasts and web design podcasts back I was learning how to do web design in college, 15, 18 years ago. And podcasts are just still going up in terms of consumption. Short form is much, much, much younger than podcasts. And it's way outperformed how many views and hours people are spending on it. So it's here to stay forever. And here's some stats on social media. Why video is so powerful. It's just reaching so many people on Facebook. So many Americans use Facebook alone, almost 7 in 10. YouTube, 81% of Americans use it. But look at that stat underneath that. 95% of 15 to 25-year-olds use YouTube. 95%. So you're like, where are all the young people? They're on YouTube. 95% of 15 to 25-year-olds use YouTube. Instagram, only 40% of Americans, but look at that, 76% of 18 to 24-year-olds use it. So different platforms have different reach to different demographics. It's good to know what platform to use for your demographics, but social media is just huge. I think a lot of us forget just how massive it is. Like, it is the place to be if you want a way to reach your audience in a very scalable way. And by the way, before we think, oh, TikTok's just for the kids, this is TikTok users by age. 10 to 19 years, right? We could say that's the kids. That's only 25% of the user base. Everything else is 20, 29, 30, 39, 40, 49. 20% of their people on there are 40, 49, and 50 plus are a little over 10% of the population using TikTok. Everyone's on TikTok. I think a lot of people forget that because we just associate it with young people, but it's not. Everyone's on there. So everyone's doing it, says Will Ferrell. So we got to get with the game, and that is short form video is the content king. It's the way to get the most reach. You put a short form video on one of these platforms like Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, and the platforms reward you with reach, just organic reach. You don't have to put any ad spend behind it, and your video will go be seen by hundreds of people, and if it's really good, thousands of people. And all you did was spend 60 seconds putting, it's a 60-second video, and hundreds and maybe thousands of people will see it. So there's a lot of reach ability with short form video that we have never, ever, 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 I want to say ever, never, ever seen with content creation. So if you're creating content, that slide's annoying. I'm going to switch it. If you're creating content and you're like, what's the best way to reach the most people with the most impactful type of medium? It's short form video. It takes just as much time as doing something another form. More people are going to watch it than any other form. You put a blog post on there, unless you have existing traffic to your site, no one's going to read it. But if you put it on TikTok, you're going to get at least 200 views, because that's like the bare minimum that the algorithm gives to see, is this worth more than 200 views? And if it is, more than 200 people will see it. And then you're also getting the emotional impact, that emotional connection. That is the number one job of all marketing. Make that emotional connection so that people want what you have, or you leave them with a feeling. The best ads, the best marketing leaves people with a feeling. Think about Super Bowl commercials. Think about, the Wendy's, where's the beef, the humor. The best ads leave people emotionally impacted. So that's why short form video. All right. So I've got some answers specifically for some of these questions. Is this right for me? I want to jump into the, so Lori, I hope that answers your question about reaching new people. And then you also said aligned people, which I like that. You said reaching new people and aligned people, because it's not just reaching new people, right? I can put a video on TikTok. It doesn't mean it's going to reach the people I want it to reach, or that it reaches the people I want it to reach who are aligned with my offer, who are ready or closer to being ready to buy, right? There's like a spectrum, or you could call it a funnel, to use a marketing term, of not just like awareness, but also interest, right? And when you say aligned, I'm assuming you mean not just aware and that they have this problem, but also interested in solving the problem and bought into your philosophies about how you solve the problem. So when you have a sales call, it's like, yeah, let's do it. I'm bought in. I've seen your content. By the way, that's what I'm getting with my leads. I'm drawing in aligned people, because people are watching my content. They're getting into their feeds. They're seeing it every week. Or maybe if they're not seeing maybe it's just once a month, because not everybody's on LinkedIn all the time. If you say 10% of my audience, I have 5,000 followers on LinkedIn. If only 10% of my audience is on LinkedIn at any one time, they might see my video, and then a month later, they might see another one, and then a few months later. This happened just this week. I had a new lead come in as a result of connecting 6+ months ago, and I told her what I was all about, and no answer. Fine, that's fine. And then she's been seeing my content for 6 months. And then this week she's like, hey, I've been watching your stuff. I love what you're talking about. I think it's time to talk about your offer. 6 months. So did I do any follow-ups with her? No, because we were connected on LinkedIn. I was putting out content that was giving value. She was absorbing that content. I don't know how many times she watched my videos, maybe 3 times, maybe all of them, something in between. The point is, it built trust for me. And it's not just doing that with her. It's doing that with hundreds of other people at scale. All right. So let's talk about, I want to talk about some specific ones here. Charles, you talk about starting off without current clients / case study to support the product service we're selling. Okay. I want to talk about that. I don't have a slide for that, but I love that you asked that question. So I did this myself. When I started doing short form video, I had been in the video space for 3 years prior. So I come from a background in marketing, been doing marketing 13 years. And the last 3-ish years, I have been working in employer branding, recruitment, marketing. It's a niche within HR, basically you help companies attract people to to your company through content on LinkedIn, through content on Facebook, through video, through blog posts. And it's just a proactive way to reach people instead of just depending on job boards to do all of the hiring for you, right? To get job. And so that's what I've been doing the last 3 years. So and part of that has been video. But it was about a year ago that I got into short form video for the purpose of not just hiring, but also for sales. And what I started doing was offering this to clients, and they'd ask for examples, and can you do this for me? And I'd say yeah. And can I see examples? Say, well, I don't have examples. I'm just starting out, and that was fine for them because I was selling at a lower price point, and I was real with them about it. But what I started realizing earlier this year is that I need to I forget the analogy, but I basically need to do for myself what I'm doing for my clients. There's an analogy there. I always forget what it is. But I need to do for myself what I'm doing for clients. Because if I can do it for myself, it'll prove to my clients I can do it for them, right? How often do we love a good story where, how often have you ever taken up somebody on an offer where they said, this worked for me, this is my exact how I did it, and I know this can work for you, right? So that's what I started doing. And it was scary because I was like, I had a little bit of experience. I mean, I've always been behind the camera for 3 years helping other people interview people, but I hadn't really done a lot of it. And in the beginning, I just looked back at some of my videos early on. I was like, wow, it wasn't that great. It wasn't that great. It was okay, but it wasn't great. So I started trusting the process though. And that's been my mantra for the last 12 months, trust the process. And it worked. So within 3 to 4 months of consistently doing video content, short form video, showing up on LinkedIn, and I'll show you my strategy in a little bit, all the details of how I do that, I started getting leads. In fact, I got 13 leads in the first 2 months, all at once. Within 3 to 4 months, boom, 13 leads. And now I'm consistently getting more leads since then. It's funny because and this just, I'm being candid with you. Like there's people ahead of me in the game, in the short form video game that I follow. And one of them said, you should wait, around 2-3 months, you should start to see leads. So I trusted the process and I did it. I consistently did it. And guess what? 3-4 months happened. And so he was right. I loved it. I loved how accurate that was. So what that means is with much confidence, I can tell you, if you do this plan within 3 months or 4 months, you can start seeing leads because I know I've done it for myself. So that's how I did it. And I started with myself. So if you're curious, like, how do you do this for others? Often you can do it for yourself first. Now, I know sometimes you aren't your own ideal client because you're selling maybe a complicated CRM or something like that. And in that case, that's just simply an example. You're just trying to get some case studies. So I'm actually also doing that. I'm getting my first case study. One of my first case studies is with an executive coach, and we're doing a trade. He's got a huge audience, and he's doing so we're doing a trade of visibility with his audience, and a lot of those are ideal buyers of my product. And in return, I'm giving him some short form video work. And that's to prove that it works for a specific executive kind of coach, because I'd like to work with more executive coaches. And that's the kind of work you have to be able to expect to do to get that case study. And that's what I'm working toward. And then maybe he'll turn into a paid client as well. So it's a double bonus. One, I'll get a case study of how it works, and I'll be able to show that to others and use that as leverage, stepping stone. Step number 1, build off of that. And then number 2, might turn into a paying client within a few months. As soon as we get a routine going and he starts getting that income in for his new side of his practice. So Charles, hopefully that's helpful. If you have any follow-up questions, let me know in the chat. All right. Mel, you asked about, the challenge for you selling, the benefits of our distinctive business model. Kind of hinted at it before. When you do video, let's go to my strategy page here. When you do video and you do consistent content, and by the way, this is the strategy I use. This is all, guys, I've only done a couple of these presentations in the last few months. So this is all very early, like very raw stuff. Like I've got a lot of words, very few graphics. You're getting it straight from the hip, right? There's very little polish, but you're getting the real deal. This is what works for me. So to answer your question there, Mel, over a period of time, if I'm able to produce content that talks about the problems my clients are having, the challenges they're having with not generating leads, with getting inconsistent leads, with, in your case, getting leads, but they're not at all qualified. They don't have budget. They're not bought into our philosophy. They're like, you're a commodity. Let me go get another quote. And then they ghost you. That stuff doesn't happen with me because the people that are looking at my content are watching it. They're reading it. and I'm tying it into an emotional need that they have. So my content's always going back to, my content's not about me, or at least it shouldn't be. If you ever see something that's, that's about me more than about my clients, then I haven't hit the mark. But it's always coming back to, what's the pain point? What's the value I can give? And you give value over and over, Mel, you will attract pre-qualified candidates, pre-qualified prospects. That's just the nature of content marketing in general. And anyone that's been in content marketing for years, and content marketing has been around for a long time. Content marketing is just put content out there. It blesses people, gives them value. And then a portion of those people will go, wow, this is free. Imagine what it's like working with them. And then they'll work with you and then do business with you. That's how you generate leads. I'm talking about content marketing through the lens of short form video. So that is how I solve that problem of really talking about how we do things with our business model. Our business model is once a month, we meet with you. I think I talked about it earlier. And then we help you produce all your content for the month. And I know that works because people tell me all the time, I don't have time. I don't know what to say, and all these other challenges. And we solve all those problems. We built our business model around the pain point. So, Mel, understand why you have those.
And if I can,
go ahead.
Oh, if I can lean into that. So you said a couple things that I think are so important, as a content creator. Number one, it's about being relentlessly helpful. It feels counterintuitive. Why would I give this away? Leaders always lead. If you are trying to gain authority power, which you should be, because you're trying to set yourself apart and be known for something, and if you set yourself apart and are known for something, you attract clients who are willing to pay a premium because they see how you are going to get them to that success point. They envision that success point. And that's the other thing I think is really important. And Mac asked to see best examples of short forms that work. The best, and Justin, obviously you're going to answer this, but I think the best short forms that work are the ones that share your story and inspire people to that future state of success.
Yeah.
So what is it that if that one thing was removed from that prospect, that one business block, that one issue, that one goal, if that was checked off the list and that weight was off their shoulders, what would that be? And then how are you solving that problem in a way that is innovative, that is transformative, that is disruptive? And I'm going to steal from MKJ. We had our first webinar in October, and she said that this goes beyond the statement. Better, cheaper, faster.
I like that.
That's just a little bit of a movement. You want to really stand out as a category of one. And in your distinctive business model and the way that you do things, document everything. Something that seems so obvious to you and should be a standard to your prospects may be totally revolutionary. And that's your distinction and your innovation to be able to solve their problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said, Lisa. And documenting everything. That's something I'm actually still learning how to do. Going back to, I'm not the expert, the top level expert in this field. I'm still learning from people a few steps ahead of me. And that's one of the things that I found is very actually cathartic for me in business, just sharing as I grow, learning. And I've heard one of my coaches in the content world said, it's like share your sawdust. So as you're building you're building something that is like let's say a chair as a carpenter, that the chair is maybe what your client wants. But when it comes to content online, people just don't want only the chair itself. Like, we help this client get this. They want the process of how you built that chair. And that's the sawdust that comes off of that. So if you can learn to share those pieces as you go, that's very valuable for folks. And that requires a little bit of opening up, which is super scary. I know, because I've been doing it. That's why I haven't just jumped right in. But it requires a little bit of understanding what's valuable, what am I learning? And that's literally what I've been doing, is sharing that. So I'll share posts, for example, on LinkedIn. Here's what I've learned. Here's what I'm learning. 3 things I learned from this thing, or 3, So I shared a post, for example, one of my best performing posts of all time was a sawdust post. It was about how I raised prices to better help my clients. And it was one of my top posts of the year because I actually talked about what wasn't working before. I was charging way too little per session, and you could argue it was the appropriate amount, but what we were dealing with meant that the people were never actually posting their videos. In the beginning, I was charging $400 a session for videos, and they would get 10 videos or whatever, 5, 6, 10 videos, and our clients would never post these videos. When we looked at it, why 9 out of 10 clients they spent $400. These videos are amazing. These could really help somebody. They could get new business for our clients. Why are they not posting them? Oh, it's because they still lack the confidence, right? They got over the confidence hump by coming and hiring us to actually do the video in the first place. But now they're right back where they started, where they're like, do I really want to post this? And that imposter syndrome crept up again. And then the other thing that happened is that they didn't have the time, which is the exact same problem they came to us to solve in the first place. So I had to switch my business model, raise my prices so that we could actually take care of posting for them and actually getting clients who were invested in the process and wanted to do this on a regular basis, not one time and then never post a video. That's a waste of their time, waste of my time. So, and that was a great post. So that's one example of the sawdust post of sharing what you learn along the way. Not everything's going to qualify for that, but it's a habit to get into. I'm still getting into it. Let's talk about my strategy just briefly. So Charles, this is answering your question about what's working for me. I aim for short form video 2 times a week, and I'm talking primarily LinkedIn. LinkedIn is where I spend 80 to 90% of my efforts. All the other platforms, and I've got a list of all the platforms I use, I spend 5 to 15% of my time. I'm not getting leads from the other platforms. I'm just showing up there. I'm just getting visibility. I'm putting my reps in. I'm learning what's working. I'm doing that just because I want to be able to show my clients this is what it looks like. But most of my time is spent on LinkedIn because my audience primarily is closest to the buying decision on LinkedIn. These are B2B buyers. Yes, there are B2B buyers on TikTok, but if you go and take a sample of 50 people on LinkedIn and 50 people on TikTok, you're going to have way more condensed B2B buyers on LinkedIn in those 50 people than you are on TikTok. So it makes sense that I would spend my efforts on LinkedIn. So short form video 2 times a week. I try to go for a humorous sketch because this is on brand for me. I also find that if I do humor, it gets more virality, more people share it, more people watch it. It's funny, haha. And sometimes I'll get a follow. But at least, people will follow me, and then I get a chance to continue the conversation with them. At least that's how it works on the other platforms a lot. So, for example, I had a video that went big on YouTube Shorts a while back, got 10,000 views, and I got a few new subscribers from it. And now they're watching the rest of my videos, which don't get 10,000 views. They get a few hundred views. And that's normal because I'm not posting consistently. Again, I'm not prioritizing that. But I use humor to create that emotional impact and reach a newer audience and get a chance to be able to continue to reach people once they follow me, once they connect with me. I do a webinar once a month. This is a great example. This is like my 3rd this month. I just got a lot this month. And then down the road, we'll have some other long form content we'll create, longer YouTube videos and things like that. For now, one long form piece of content so we can go deep, right? If you go 60 seconds at a time, it's not terribly a lot. You could do a series, things like that, and that's fine. But I like doing webinars because it gives a chance for people to get to know me and ask questions and things like that. So it's a mix of short form with a webinar once a month. And then, of course, if you use LinkedIn right, you are consistently sending out connections requests on LinkedIn with your ideal prospects. So people that meet your criteria for what would be a good client. They have the right business size. They have the right experience. They have the right whatever. And then commenting and showing up. I'm not posting and ghosting. I'm not saying, here's my content. See ya. Because LinkedIn is not that kind of platform. You can't do that and be successful on LinkedIn. You can do that and be successful on the other platforms because those are not network platforms. YouTube is not a network platform. It's a media content platform. They'll absorb information and they absorb and they're entertained and they're just sucking information from YouTube. They're never contributing. LinkedIn is the other way around. LinkedIn is a professional networking platform that happens to have content. So compare those together. And this is my strategy that gets me. So yes, there's short form video, but there's also a little bit of long form. I got to do some other stuff. This is not but if I didn't do anything else, let's put it this way. If I didn't do anything, if I removed all of what I do, I would focus only on short form content and commenting. Those are the 2 most powerful. You pair those together, the 2 most powerful things you can do on LinkedIn to get visibility consistently with an ideal audience. So,
and Charles asked a follow-up question about, do you take this a step further in your retainer to create the content, manage their social page for them?
Yeah.
Doing paid ads. I would love to hear from you about that.
Yeah.
What is
No,
your
we
take?
stay in our lane
You're
with
doing
short
short-term
form.
video on paid ads and
Right.
things of that nature.
Great question. Great question. So what we do is we are 100% a content creation partner for you. And and then that's going to get you your reach that you want. So when you work with us, you get 10 videos plus per session every month. So you're getting 10 videos. That's about 2 per week, a little over 2 per week that you're producing. And you can use those videos if you want to, hire somebody else to do ads. Great, go give them those videos. Those are all yours to use. But we know how to. We're just staying in our lane. I've learned from years of experience that if you start offering a little bit extra and a little bit extra, all of a sudden now you have this cumbersome big beast of a business that doesn't serve you and it doesn't serve your clients well because you're trying to be everything to everyone. So we stay in our lane. We do short form video. Yes, you can use those for other things. We create those for you. We actually write the description for you. We do the hashtag research for each platform that's relevant, and we post it for you. But we do not do anything beyond posting for you. We'll report back. Here's what's working for you. We'll send you those reports. But if you want to use that content, you're more than welcome. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, and I actually have a question for you, Justin, that's on those lines. So if they're using the short form video and the other pieces of content appropriately, do you feel that paid ads is a necessity? It's more of a luxury item where if you wanted to, and I think it would really be around post promotion, not necessarily an ad.
Yeah.
Do you feel that it's something that could be a nice to have? Or do you think that it's an integral part of the content posting strategy?
It can be, if you have the budget, I would do it. If you have the budget. If you don't worry about it. Do what you can do for now. Sustainability is the key here. This is the problem with a lot of content conversations is like, well, you got to do all the things because this is working. If you can't do it sustainably, you're going to burn out and it's not going to work for anybody. So, and that applies, by the way, to your budget. So paid ads are their own thing. I've got experience. I've actually run paid ads. I've got a legacy side of my business. We run paid ads. I know how to do it and know how to do it well, but there's a lot of depth into that. And so it's going to take time and money to get really good at figuring out what platforms and what ads and how to do that well. I, for example, see another agency out there that does similar things to what we do. They do kind of more broad content. They don't specialize in short form, and they actually mix in part of that for themselves. I see their ads show up in my feed all the time, and they're good ads. Why? Because it's a super impactful. Like, here's $100 of value for free, and that's the ad. It's a piece of content they created, they posted, and they put an ad behind it. And it was probably one of their best posts, and they just put an ad behind it, and it gets them leads. So they do a mix of content. And so if you can do it, I'm not at that place right now. I'm not in the place, and maybe someday I will. But if you can do it, I would. I just wouldn't get too complicated right now. Start simple.
Yeah, and if I could lean into that a little bit, and the Mac will absolutely get to your question. This is what I talk to my coaching clients about, that it's not about doing everything. It's doing one thing really well and doing it over a long period of time.
That's right.
Gone are the days back when digital marketing and the internet was just starting. And I've been doing marketing since 1997. So I have a few years under my belt. And before, with digital, you would do 1 or 2 posts and you would just get a ton of prospects and a ton of leads because it was so new. Now you have to touch the individual, they say on average 50 to 60 times for them to actually start to have the conversation with you about becoming a future client. So it is about showing up consistently with thought leadership and value so that people trust you. You start to develop relationships online, which is becoming harder and harder.
Yeah.
And then seeing the results of that. So the idea that, and I had this conversation last week with a client, we did a press release and he was so confused why he didn't have a ton of traffic to his website. He had a good amount, and we actually got picked up by a lot of different, very well-known, platforms, but it was one press release, one activity does not a marketing strategy make. No, don't think that. You have to put the time in. This is a marathon, not a sprint. Just had to get on my soapbox.
I love it.
Yeah.
Lisa, thank you so much for making these.
Yeah.
That's a
And
good
then
point.
Mac had a question, and I think this is a really good question, Mac, and it's one of the questions I have too. Ratio aspect.
Yeah.
I know the different platforms are optimized for different ratios. Is there kind of like a, if you do this, you get 80% of the aspect ratio, or is there, or do you have to do it in different forms? Is this really important nowadays? And that's a great question.
Aspect ratio matters. So you're looking for 9:16. So 9:16, right? And that's, what is that? Well, that's a phone. 9:16 is this. This is 9:16. That's what you're looking for, short form. Yep. And this is 16:9, right? You just take that and you go like this is 16:9. So 16:9 can work on LinkedIn, but this is 9. This is, I was going back to I had a, content, short form is kind of like a content silver bullet, because you can create one 60-second video and it doesn't exist on one platform. It goes literally to every single platform. You can't put a blog post on every platform. You can't put a text post on every platform. You can't put an image on every platform. You can put a short form video on every single platform. And so that way, instead of getting just a few hundred views, you're getting thousands in the aggregate. And think of how much impact that has, especially if you already have a following and you're continually doing that. It's very powerful. So it's kind of, and it's not quite, there's no such thing as a silver bullet in marketing, but it's kind of like the closest thing you can do in terms of getting reach, building trust, and it works for me. All right, I want to dive into AI, some tools here, because I know this is part of what we want to talk about. I want to talk about some that I've used, tested, and some that I have. I want to actually show you some of these. So we're gonna stop sharing here. I'm gonna share my other screen. You're gonna get some of the. You're gonna see my behind the scenes here. Let's see. Look, entire screen. I'm gonna share my system audio. All right, I'm gonna minimize this. Make this bigger. Okay. So some of the tools, we don't use all of these, but here's some of them. All right. So here's the first one I do use, ChatGPT. Pretty obvious, right? Like how do I use it for short form? Well, actually, how I use it for my clients is to come up with questions. Sometimes you get stuck. So, for example, Lisa, I'm interviewing. I want to produce some short videos about my expertise on short form video, or and let's just say, really said this is your case, on content marketing. Please give me some ideas or prompts I can use. And this is a free product, ChatGPT. If you've never used it, I recommend it. And here you go. Get some prompts, get some ideas. You can talk about the evolution of content marketing. You just did that, Lisa. That'd be a fun post, by the way. I like that. Content marketing strategies for small business. So these are a little too specific, too broad. It takes a little bit of massaging. And so let's change it instead of that. But that, I won't dive too much into this, but this is one we use all the time. So for example, we're interviewing one of our clients about, let's say they're a broker in LA. We have a client that's a broker in LA. We'll use ChatGPT to go in and ask and get prompt ideas, because I'm not a broker. I don't know what brokers in LA should be talking about. I mean, a little bit, but I use ChatGPT as a resource to develop questions that I can then, riff off of to ask good prompts. And I use this for myself. I use it for our clients. It's a fantastic tool when you feel stuck and you're not sure what to say. Use ChatGPT. So there's another one here. We use Loom as well. So Loom isn't necessarily for short form, although I have started using it for short form. You wouldn't think it's that kind of a tool. So if you're not familiar with Loom, Loom is a browser extension. I can go. Can you see my screen here? I can go right here in my Loom. I can click, start a new Loom, and I can just start sharing my screen. And then it will automatically create a summary using AI of the video. Now this one doesn't have it. So let me go back to Loom here, find one that I did summarize. Right here. I did this one just yesterday. So I used AI in Loom and it actually summarized the title. So it took the content, it transcribed it right here, right? This is my video. So I was giving a live review to my editor yesterday about one of the short form videos that we're doing. By the way, follow me on LinkedIn if you haven't already, because I really want you to watch this. It made me chuckle, and I'm a dad and I love my own sense of humor. So maybe it'll make you chuckle. I don't know. But it's one of the humorous videos that we're doing. So Follow me on LinkedIn. It'll come out, I think, next week or the week after. And so you go to Loom, I shared my screen, and I was able to it created a title, it created a summary, it even put chapter points all automatically for me using Loom's AI feature. Huge time saver. And then I can go in here and to answer your question, probably you're having like, how do you use this for short form? Well, if I want to create like a how-to video, instead of just me talking to the camera, I can literally show my screen. Like I can show in a spreadsheet, I can show in a website. This is how I do this task, fill in the blank, whatever it is. And I've done a few of these and they're really cool. People like to see behind the scenes. So it's a really kind of a cool way. If you're doing stuff online, if you have a process, for example, that, you've got some in-depth, maybe you got some stuff you can show off, share your screen, use Loom, and then you can actually edit right in Loom. It takes out all the ums and ahs. It removes the filler words. Look at this, removes filler words, removes silences. It shortens the video for you. These are all tools. This is a tool. This is fantastic. This is my favorite video tool, by the way. And I don't even primarily use it for content creation. I'm starting to, but I haven't yet. So that's a couple. And then I want to show you a couple more here. And this is a neat one. I think this is the one Lisa, you and I were talking about. So this is in video. And this is only going to get better. I believe there's coming a day where you'll be able to put in a prompt and you get really cool video. So let's create a YouTube short about it should be inspirational, overcoming imposter syndrome, inspirational, and use any gender, any voice. Let's do Midwestern. Let's do a British voice. Let's add subtitles and use iStock normally, and then we'll let that run and see what happens. Generate a video. It'll create a video for us. This is a really cool newer AI tool, and there's dozens of these guys, of these AI tools. I don't use them, but I've been investigating. Is there a way we could use them down the road for our agency to make editing faster? So it's basically ChatGPT for creating short form video. So we'll come back to this one here in a second. We'll see what happens with how do you create a YouTube short with a British voice about overcoming imposter syndrome. I don't have to do any work. I just have to put that in. We'll see what happens, right? So we'll come back to that. And then here's Opus Clip. I want to show you this one. This is interesting. So if you ever create long form content like we did today, you can go into Opus Clip. And it's a tool that allows you to take a long form piece of content, like a webinar recording, and then automatically trim it down into its parts that Opus thinks are the most important. So here's an example. I put in here, I did a how-to video a while back, and I took the YouTube link, gave it to Opus Clip, and it created all of this for me. These are all the shorts it created for me. Let's take a look at what it looks like. But otherwise, what I do is I typically take something here on a Thursday morning, which is when I work on my content, and I go ahead and grab an idea, and I take that idea, and then I transfer it into my dialogue video sketches document here. So then what I do is I record the video. That's probably not the best example because you're not actually seeing my full screen. But if I do this webinar, for example, and I upload it, you'll get headshots of me and Lisa talking about certain key points. This is a really interesting one for us because this in many ways is what we do, except we don't take long form and turn it into short form. We explicitly go and create short form. But this is great if you're already doing a podcast. If you get featured on a podcast, request the recording, go find the YouTube video, and then trim it up. It's pretty darn cool. We don't use this, but because this isn't our area of excellence, but is definitely a tool to start creating more short form video. I recommend. And this is opus.pro. They have a free program, and then you buy credits as you go. I've referred a lot of people in my network to this, and I've had a couple come back and say, Justin, this is life-changing. Thank you so much. So this is a big one. Then we've also got, let's see, is InVideo done here? Young adults. Okay. All right. Why is it still asking me? Okay. So now it's going to generate it. It might take a few minutes. We'll come back to it. And then Runway. So this is rotoing. This is a neat tool. We've started to investigate in our agency rotoing. Rotoing is the word for taking out the background of the video. So what I did is I plopped a clip in here of me talking, and then I ended up here. Let's see. Can I remove? Let's go here. So this is a clip of me talking. Let me cut it right here. Split it, delete this side, make things shorter. And then what I did, I go over here to the motion tracking, or I'm sorry, green screen. And I get a little button, little arrow here. And let's go over here. select this, select this, select this, select this. Look at that. See the green? The green is what's going to get kept. Let's see. Does that stay there? And then what happens is we'll preview it. And let's done masking. Let's watch it. What happens? It removes the background. So, and I did this yesterday in preparation. It removes the background. It's not perfect.
Somebody help. I'm scrolling and I can't get off.
It's not perfect, but people don't expect perfection on social media. This is really great if you want to create content that has humor in it. For example, my editor can write. Now, the old school way of doing this, you had to manually every frame at 24 frames a second, go in here and cut it out. That's a ton of work. Now this tool does it for you. And it's not perfect, and that's okay. People don't expect perfection in social media videos. It's meant to be, and especially if it's meant to be humorous. So this is Runway, and they have a suite of tools that do stuff like this. But this is they have it for free, and there's also a paid plan as well. So this is how they're using AI to identify the edges of me as I'm going along and cutting me out. So it's a huge time saver, especially if you have an editor. And this is something we're actively looking into for our own agency. And then the last one, let's go back here to in video. This is the cool one. All right, let's watch the inspirational video. How did it turn out? How did our ChatGPT thing turn out? Let's watch it.
Ever heard of imposter syndrome? It's that nagging feeling of being a fraud despite a history of success. It's a common enemy, but guess what? You're not alone in this fight. Imposter syndrome is just a mental block. It's not a reflection of your true abilities. Remember, even the brightest minds like Albert Einstein experienced it. So how do you overcome it? Firstly, acknowledge the feeling. It's okay, it's normal. Secondly, talk about it. Share your feelings with a trusted friend or mentor. You'd be surprised to find out how many people feel the same way. Lastly, celebrate your achievements. Whether big or small, they are proof of your capabilities. So next time you feel like an imposter, remind yourself, you are capable, you are deserving. Overcoming imposter syndrome isn't a one-day affair, it's a journey. And remember, the journey is just as important as the destination. You've got
The
this.
journey is important. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful. Those are some AI tools we use or have tested and vetted. And
I'm a little bit scared. I was watching it to see it did the power of three in your stories. And if you ever watch, I'm going to ruin all movies and TV shows for you. The hero always hits two bad spots where it's a failure, and then finally a success.
Right.
It's always in threes.
Right.
Everything, if you do it in threes, it's the fastest way to, it's something in our brain likes sets of threes and sets of fours, but particularly sets of threes. So they had three things you could do. So damn it, they're getting good at storytelling.
It's only going to get better, and it's only going to get better. And so as content creators, right, Lisa, you and I, our job is to figure out how do we leverage that to make our jobs easier. And that's, I believe there's a day coming, for example, we can upload a recording of yourself with your tonality, your voice, and then you can give it to a machine, and the machine will create the exact replica of you with any script that you want, and you will never need to be on video again. And that's coming. I don't believe that's it. We've seen deep fakes of Donald Trump and other famous people and how convincing they are with the right voice. That's going to come to the general population. It's just a matter of when, not if. So how does a company like us work on that? Well, we're going to use those tools for our clients. It's not like just because it exists that the clients are going to start using it for themselves. They still have the problem of, I don't have the time. I still don't know what to say, right? There's things like that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. This has been so insightful, and I was furiously taking notes. And I'm like, Runway, Opus Clip, crap. So I do presentations a lot on AI and storytelling, AI and content creation. And every couple of months, I have to modify my deck because everything is changing so rapidly. And that Runway, that green screen, if you're worried about how your background looks, that's a game changer. And then you can, having that down, an editor can put in a fake background for you at a much lower cost. Mm-hmm. And to maybe to a expert, it's like, oh, I would tweak this and this, but to, average Joe like me, I'd be like, that looks amazing.
Yep.
So unbelievable. God, Justin, so much information, and I wish we could talk for another hour, and I'm sure everyone else does too.
Lots of stuff.
This was great. I put Justin's LinkedIn profile into the chat so you can connect with him. I put my LinkedIn profile into the chat so you can connect with me. I also put a link to my newsletter on LinkedIn. I will be connecting this video from Justin on my next LinkedIn newsletter, including just a little bit more detail and comments to help you think about short form video. Please subscribe to my newsletter. I'm trying to get to 500 subscribers before the end of the year. And I'm just, I think 50 or 60 away. So It's in reach. Justin, if people want to get a hold of you to talk to you more about how to do this, how can they get in contact with you?
They can email me. I'll put my email right in there, and or they can visit my website, which I'll put in here. You can see my pricing, by the way, guys. Everything I put it out there. You don't have to meet with me to see my pricing. Here, I'll put it here. So it's right there on the website. You can see examples. Going back to that question, can I see examples? Yes, you can see examples on the website of what we've done for others. You can see my examples, which I'm pretty biased. I think they're pretty good examples, but I could get better. So hopefully that's helpful. And I'm appreciative of this time in this platform, Lisa.
Yeah, I'm blown away. I have a whole page of notes. So massive page of notes. So thank you so much, Justin. Thank you for sharing your area of genius. And I have to get better at doing short form video. And I have no excuse now. I literally have no excuse.
Yeah.
Which is okay. And thank all of you who have joined us. And remember that digital marketing is like a climb with no summit. Wherever you are in the journey, you still have 100% to go. So just keep going. I'm Lisa Polinsky, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.